Hi and welcome back to my channel again. If you've been following my journey, you'll know that advertising revenue is a big part of my affiliate income. And it's actually a form of income that you have more control over than you might think. Now, ads are generated on your website to earn you an income from the amount of visitors that actually see your ad. Now, this is measured in a term called RPM, that's revenue per million. That's the revenue per 1,000 impressions on your website. So effectively, the amount of ads a person sees when they come to your website, and it's generated in the form of a certain amount of money per 1,000 views. Now, the RPM for advertising revenue can vary dramatically. I mean, I've seen some websites that get as low as $5 per 1,000 views, and I've seen some that get $50 is the highest I've seen, although I've just recently seen a list that was posted in my Discord group, and if you've not been over to my Discord group, the link is in the description. One of the members in there posted some numbers that's been published recently, and that shows some niches can earn $150 per 1,000, but I mean, I've never seen that. The highest I've seen is $50, but that would be incredible if you can get an RPM of $150 per 1,000. But still, there is a lot of things you can do to increase and improve your advertising RPM, and that's what I'm going to get into in this video. So if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and click that bell icon, and then you'll be notified every time I bring out a new video. And hopefully the information, the videos that I'm giving you can help you grow your income and hopefully make more passive income and free up some time so you can spend it with your friends and family. Now, there are various advertising platforms, premium advertising platforms should I say, that you have to choose from as an alternative from Google AdSense. Google AdSense is a great way of getting started to get a few ads and get a few impressions on your website and then start earning a few dollars from your visitors. However, it is very, very limited to the amount of RPM and the amount of earnings you can make. It is still a great form of advertising when you're first getting started and you've just got a trickle of traffic coming over to your website. However, once you get a few thousand visitors, I suggest you kind of wait till you get around 10,000 visitors, and then you can apply for something like EZOIC, which is one of the better premium advertising network companies, and then you could wait till you get to around 50,000, then you can upgrade and go even higher and go with somebody like MEDIAVINE. Now, MEDIAVINE is one of the companies that I currently go with, and I love MEDIAVINE because literally they do all the work for me. They test things, they place the ads, there's no setting up to do whatsoever. However, being able to change the ads and test and play around with things is what makes EZOIC a really good platform to be on. Now, I've been with both companies. I've been with EZOIC and been with MEDIAVINE, and there is some differences between the two. And I must admit, I wasn't a huge fan of EZOIC right back at the start, 2 or 3 years ago, but they've come on leaps and bounds certainly in the last 6 months. And one of the best things EZOIC does is their ad testing. Now, with EZOIC, they're a real big fan of testing ads, and from what I've found, and the results I'll show you in a moment, ad testing is certainly one thing that you have a little bit of control over, and you can dramatically affect your RPM on your ads. So if you're with EZOIC and you're getting some traffic, it is certainly worth considering doing a few things to try and improve your RPM. So over the last 6 months, with all the world events that's gone on, we've seen RPMs dramatically fall. So I reached out to MEDIAVINE for one of my websites and said, how can I improve my RPM on my ad revenue? Now, this is one of the reasons I'm currently with MEDIAVINE, is for their customer service and the help that they give you. I literally just fired a couple of line emails saying, please, can you help me increase my RPM? It seems a bit low, what can I do? And if you take a look at the screen now, you'll see, the report I got from them was a really in-depth analysis of my RPM with some great and clear instructions of what I can do to actually improve it. And over the last 30 days, I've seen some incredible changes on the RPM. Now, the RPM was very low at around $11, and I've managed to get it almost to the $20 mark. So I've almost managed to double my RPM rate on this one website just from implementing a few suggestions and a few things they've advised me to do. So the reason for this video, I thought I'd share that, and hopefully you can implement some of these across your website if you've already got adverts. running on your website. And if you've not and you're about to apply some adverts, or you're very near to getting ads on your site, then again, it's something you can put in place right at the very beginning, so you're not having to wait and test around too much. You can get straight to that really good RPM by implementing some basic structure across your website. So let's head over to the computer now, and I'll show you what I've done and see if these can actually improve your RPM. Okay, so here we are over at my case study, fishkeepingforever.com. I'm going to show you some of the strategies and the advice I was given by MEDIAVINE that's helped me improve my RPM dramatically. So take a look at the screen now. You'll see the response I got from email, which was absolutely amazing. Such in-depth help and analysis of my website. And I've actually done this a couple of times for me. I've asked about a year ago when I was first implementing some ads on the site, and I asked for a bit of advice. They also gave me a very detailed advice and email like this one, but this one has some really specific and targeted actions that I needed to do, which I've done, and it's seen some dramatic improvements. So first of all, if you take a quick look on the screen now, you'll see the improvements that's been made across my RPM. You'll see here that 30 days ago the website was getting around $11 RPM, and then I made a few changes, and you can see it slowly increased and increased to the point where I've got it just below $20 at the moment, and I do expect within the next couple of weeks to get that to around $23, $24 per 1,000 visitors to my website, which is great. It's a massive improvement. Now, one of the first things that was on that email was lists and bullet points. So many articles you'll have bullet points of information to help the reader and provide more helpful information content, but often a lot of the premium ad networks don't allow ads within those bullet points. Now, if I show you what I mean, I found a really good example here on a website. This is a cat website. I won't out the website, but I just want to use it as an example. And you can see here they've got avoid products with any of the following, and they've got this bullet list here which has around 12 or 13 different points. Now this website is actually running ads, and you can see here that the ad has placed itself at the bottom of the content. Now there's a reason for that. Often in the ad settings there's a function where you can switch on or off ads within HTML lists. Now that includes lists, numbered lists and bullet point lists. So as you can see here, they must have this setting to switch off, which means they're not allowing ads to split up any of these bullet points or lists. Now, often that can be wise because it may not read very nice if your bullet point list is split up. But one of the things they suggested that I do is to write it in a different form. So if we go back to my website here, you can see here with the heading, this is what you have to do. And it could have been a bullet point. So it could have been 3 or 4 different bullet points to show the explanation of what we mean. Now, as you can see here, I've done it differently. So I've split it up. Instead of it being bullet point, I've done individual sentences and numbered it. Now, I've also gone into MEDIAVINE settings and switched to allow ads within text and within bullet points, and I'll show you that now. So if you're with MEDIAVINE, you need to head over to their MEDIAVINE dashboard, go to settings and click in content ads, and then you can see here this is where you set all your ads, so the frequency, how much as a percentage you want ads to show on your site, how many paragraphs you want before you allow an ad. So you can say every 2 paragraphs put an ad, every 3 paragraphs put an ad. So it's where you do all your normal settings for both desktop and mobile. But if you go down to advanced in content ads, you can see it says ads in HTML list. Now you simply can click enable or disable and then click save. Now once you've done that, what that means is then, like I say, any list that you've got, and often if you've got a 101 best cat names post, if that is a bullet point or a numbered post, you wouldn't have any ads showing in that entire piece of content because you're telling your ad provider not to split up bullet points or numbered lists. So therefore you're not going to show any ads and have fewer impressions on that one particular article. Now you think how many bullet points or lists you've got in articles. I probably have a bullet point list in at least 1 in every 2 or 3 articles. I'm dramatically reducing the amount of impressions and the amount of ads that's shown within my content as a percentage. So you're dramatically decreasing your ad revenue. Now, tip number 2, or point number 2 that they gave me, was formatting. Now, I tend to write my articles in the best kind of English grammar I can. I do have a proofreader that helps me out, who's amazing, and some amazing writers that write the correct length of paragraph. Now, this is great if you're, writing an essay and you're submitting it to be scored or graded. But as a publisher of content, you want to format your writing to be able to provide as many ad placements as possible within your content, therefore to maximize your ad revenue. Now, a quick and simple way you can do that is by adjusting the font size and the line size. Now, if you have a look here at fishkeepingforever.com, you can see that the articles look pretty nice. Doesn't seem to be, any issues with how it's laid out or formatted, but it's a dramatic change from what it was. Now Mediavine recommend a font size of 18 to 19 pixels. So that's the size of each letter within your content. They also then recommended that the line spacing be increased. By simply increasing the line height by 1 or 2 pixels, dramatically spreads out the article across your page and therefore allows more ad placements to be inserted within that content. Now, this might seem a tiny little change, but I believe that that's made one of the biggest changes to my RPM, adjusting the font size and adjusting the line spacing size. Now, I had no idea if this would work or if it would improve my RPM, but 100% it certainly has. It also told me to look at each article on mobile, as mobile was 71.4% of all the traffic that I get on this website, and they said you need to start looking at optimizing it for mobile. So wording and formatting, line spacing, font size, all that is critical when you're viewing content or writing content that's going to be seen across mobile primarily. So that's what you really want to focus. You should be writing and viewing it within mobile, not desktop. And the other part of formatting that they advised me to do was my paragraphs, to split my paragraphs up. I'm subscribed to a few email lists, and I've received some recently that actually kind of brought this point home to me, and the way that they was written. So there was no big blocks of writing, and they were individual shorter sentences that made it very easy to read. And I now understand that, because the writer of these emails is expecting 70 or 80% of the people to read these emails now to be on mobile. And it definitely looks and reads better if the lines and the sentences are much, much shorter. Now, I know this will probably freak out most English teachers out there, but we've got to remember we are publishers of content that we are trying to monetize and get ad revenue from. So it may not be grammatically correct, but it works for us. It makes it easier for the reader to read, and it will earn us more ad revenue. Certainly consider splitting your sentences down. So if we take a look at this article here, and let's have a look at the biggest paragraph. So, we start off with the introduction, which has 2 sentences. We then go into another 1 sentence, and then we've got the optimized snippet. So this is the part where we try and answer the question to win the snippet, which often helps us jump up the rankings and get that number 1 spot or snippet spot within Google SERPs. And as you can see here, if we continue down, we've got another 1 sentence, another 1 sentence. So as you can see, I've optimized this article for ads, and I don't think it's done any detriment to the article. It doesn't look bad. It certainly reads really well. And on mobile, if we take a look at mobile, you can see that again, it's optimized really nicely. So this is going to read really, really well. But yeah, it's going to allow plenty of ads. And as you can see, the ads are popping up. Here's another one. Let's scroll down. Here's another one. So I think this is set at every 3 paragraphs. But I think you'll admit it's not formatted terribly. It certainly reads really nice, and it's going to provide the best ad revenue I possibly can. Now, this is all done through font size, like I say, 18 to 19 pixels font size. Increase the line height by 1 or 2 pixels. and then split and separate your paragraphs down into at the most 2 or 3 sentences per paragraph. Now the third bit of advice Mediavine gave me was to check my impressions per page. Often we look at the traffic numbers, so how many people are coming over to each article. But if we're running ads on there, we very rarely look at the RPM per article and how many impressions each one's getting. So what they mean by that, if you take a look at Mediavine's page here, and again, I'll link this page out in the description so you can have a read of this. It's really interesting. And this article is entitled Impressions per Page and How to Use Them to Increase Your Earnings. And what it means is it wants you to have a look at the highest paid RPM, because each article will have a different RPM. You don't get an RPM set across your whole website. It often tends to be per page. So you might have one page that's absolutely smashing it with a $30-40 RPM, but getting very little impressions. So that's the amount of ads that's within that content. So you might get a lot of traffic to that article, but you might not have enough impressions, so enough ads being placed within that content. So if you take a look at the example that Mediavine has produced within this article of theirs, you can see it's showing you here that this website is getting an RPM of $25.59 on this one piece of content, but the impressions per page is 20.9, whereas another article here that's getting $15.76 has a higher ad impression, so 21.5% impression rate on that article. So that's the number of ads that's being served to the viewer on that page. So obviously if you've got a higher RPM, you want to get more impressions. So basically, in layman's terms, you want more ads showing on that page that's getting the higher RPM. So that's where you could focus your ad testing, on the pages that's getting a really good RPM but not showing as many ads as you'd like it to. And that's where the formatting and the font size will really improve that. The last and final thing that they told me to do was images. Now we're all taught, I've told people before, and you'll probably hear it from many other affiliate marketers, to put some great images on your website. These images get saved and copied from your website, particularly if they're original images, and then they'll be shared across other websites, and hopefully they will give you some credit for that image and you'll gain some backlinks, which is all good. However, if you have too many images within your content, again, you're taking up valuable real estate on that post for your ads. So you do want to apply some images, because it'd be boring reading a 2,000 word article that's just all words. I certainly wouldn't suggest that, but I would certainly suggest reducing the amount of images you have within your content. So if we take a look at this article again, you can see here we have the featured image, which is fine. And then we have, this is a video where I earn, this is classed as a video ad. So this is a video I have made to place on every piece of content, which earns me some video ad revenue. So we don't really class that as an image. And there's an ad. And there we go, we've got one nice image here. And then if we scroll down, there's not a lot more. In fact, that's it. So we've got a featured image at the top, which is related to the topic. And then we've got a nice image halfway through the content. So I think this article is around 1,000 words. And as you can see, 1,000 words, it's got one image and the feature image. So that is certainly enough to put the article within context of what it's all about. Often people will look at images and that will relate to the topic that you're actually writing about. But it's created a lot more space on that page for advertisements to be slotted. And often remember that those adverts that will be showing will be targeted to the audience, so it'll be targeted to the person that's on that post. So often the ads themselves become images. So if you're writing an article around cars and somebody's looking to buy a new car, they'll have been searching car websites, and Google will pick up on that, and often the ads that are placed within that content will probably be cars. So it kind of does fit in with the theme of the website and often the theme of the article. So that's just another simple way that you can increase your RPM. So if we have a quick look now and run over the 4 things you can do. So first of all, we have the bullet points and lists. Remember to see if your ad provider will allow you to switch ads on within lists. The second thing was the formatting. Remember to increase your font size to around 18 or 19 pixels, and the line height, increase it by 1 or 2 pixels. And then remember that mobile is going to be one of your biggest viewing audiences, so make sure you optimize and write your paragraphs particularly to suit mobile. And then we had impressions per page, so that again is remembering to see and check and analyze your posts to see which one is getting the most the highest RPM but the smallest ad impressions, and therefore you want to keep that high RPM, but you want to increase the amount of ads that's served within that piece of content. And again, with most advertising platforms like EZOIC or MEDIAVINE, you can do this. You can check those in their analytic reports, and MEDIAVINE is good for that. I'd say EZOIC is even better. Their analytics and their reports are absolutely amazing. There's a ton of detail that you can get into. I know sometimes it might seem boring getting into that detail and into that analytics. You just want ads to show and make money, right? But spend an hour on there and you can increase your ad revenue by hundreds of dollars a month or a year. It's certainly time well invested. And then finally, we touched on images within content. Yep, making sure you have some lovely images, but don't overdo it with the images. Yes, we want to be showing some nice images within our content, but don't overdo it. 1 or 2 images on a 1,000-word article is fine. On a 2,000-word article, I would suggest maybe 2 images across the rest of the 2,000-word content. That's plenty. It looks good on mobile and it's going to create a lot of space for your ad impressions. Okay, so there you go. A few things that you can implement across your website. It certainly has improved my RPM, and I'm now seeing around a 30 to 40% increase on my ad revenue thanks to these improvements. So I'm going to apply it to all my sites now, and I'll certainly show you some of the results in my monthly income reports. If you've not seen my last one, I'll leave a card up in the top corner here, and you can see the amount of ad revenue that I've got now, and then when I bring my next one out, you'll see if we've had some improvements. So it looks promising. It's a simple and easy way to improve your RPM. It's certainly not going to harm your RPM, so I certainly suggest you give it a try. One thing as affiliate marketers we really need to do is to test, adapt and change, and if something's not working, don't be too scared to actually play around with it and see if you can get some better results. We tend to be a little bit set in our ways, and we don't want to rock the boat and we don't want to upset the income that we've got, but often a few slight changes can dramatically increase and often double the amount of income you get coming in just from doing a few tweaks. And that's the great thing about affiliate marketing. So please do a bit of ad testing, implement some of the things I've told you, and hopefully you'll see a much higher RPM rate for your website. And if you do, please let us know. Leave a comment in the description. What's your RPM now? And let me know what it changes to, and hopefully let me know if you've implemented any of these things across your website, and fingers crossed you've seen some better results. So there you go. Hope that's helpful. Please remember to subscribe and click the bell notification, and then you'll get informed every time I bring a new video out. My next monthly income report is going to be a good one, and it's due out in the next week or so. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.